September song, starting with our modules. Module 2-2, form of the tune AABA, 8 bars repeating, something completely new for the third set, and then a recapitulation AABA, which would also be 32 bars, and jumping ahead to module 2-6. Primary structure points on this, a couple things of note. We hear this in Take the A Train in Ipanema, where you have the 2 dominant 7th chord. It's a pretty popular sound that we've seen in a bunch of tunes. Isolate, A Train, and Ipanema. Watch What Happens is another one, another standard that utilizes that 2 dominant sound. But something that's unique about this particular tune is the sound of 2 dominant going to 2 minor 7 flat 5, where you have a minor 2-5, which is really, again, borrowed harmony resolving to a major 1. So on a tune like September Song, this is a really unique progression right here, where 2 dominant then becomes 2 minor 7 flat 5 to 5-7 altered, which takes us back to 1 major. This is a really interesting set of harmony right here on a tune, or I should say on this tune. And zoom in here. What are we looking at? 38, is it? Yeah, 1938. It's pretty slick for 1938 for a standard tune like this. Another one here is on the bridge. The bridge, it's not specified this way, but my opinion here is that this really should be marked as F minor 6. I think that it's a pretty common thing for a jazz musician or a composer, an arranger, anybody interpreting this music. If you see this chord change right here, even though it says F minor, I think our inclination is to think of it as F minor 7. And if this is played as F minor 7 as opposed to F minor 6, I feel like that takes away the impact of the E flat functioning on the F sharp diminished chord. So I have it under my primary structure points because I find this to be this F sharp diminished chord right here is a pretty, as it says here, a primary structure point. But it's only a primary structure point if this is played as a true F minor 6, maybe an F minor 6-9, something like that. But something that doesn't give the information of the E flat here and waits for that to be its own fresh sound, not functioning as 7 of the F minor 7 chord, but really as the diminished 7 of F sharp diminished. I think there's something to that. Module 3-2 is the one that talks about feels and grooves. This particular Jamie that's listed here has this at about 114. My experience with the tune, I haven't played this tune in any other way but swing. So a lot of you guys said you're familiar with this as a ballad, and I've only known this tune as a swing tune. So, that was, that was interesting to hear from you guys. But I guess one thing that I've said in previous, whatever you want to call these, in previous videos, I think something that would help at least diversify your repertoire, and if you're playing these on a gig, knowing different feels and styles that exist within this tempo, within 114. If you know this tune is a medium swing tune, this parlays very nicely as a cha-cha as well. If you're playing a dance and somebody comes up and they ask for a cha-cha, you might not have one in the book, but you might know a tune that you play at a certain tempo, like 108 to 116, which could easily be transitioned into a cha-cha. So again, that puts a whole different spin on the feel of the tune and all that. So just another thought with style and groove. I wouldn't get so locked into this being a particular style as much as paying attention to what the pulse is and how different styles can function within this particular metronome marking. I'm going to jump ahead to module 5.2, which from a melodic perspective, This is a lyrical melody. Obviously, there are words to the song. Just not that this really ties in anywhere, but there is something pretty unique about the major seven on what's really a dominant seventh chord. It happens at the pickups to the tune. We don't really hear the C dominant chord setting up F7 because these are pickups, but we do get a chance to hear it here. And you pay attention to this when you play the melody, when that B natural functions on that C7 chord. That's an interesting harmonic and melodic thing happening right there. It's a quick little deal. It passes, not, nothing earth-shattering here, but, that part definitely strikes me. Happens here, heading into the second A section. That B natural on the C7. Just give that a sniff. Check that out. And nothing else really. This isn't. Full disclosure. This isn't necessarily my favorite melody of the ones that we've studied. So I don't necessarily bring too much to the table with melodic analysis here. Harmonic analysis. This tune is. I have to say, I think it's really interesting. There, when you look at the modules, the way that they're set up, I don't necessarily think it applies to any of them. There's instances of cyclic harmony where there's a 2-5 here. This repeats, so I guess there's a little bit of a 5-1, but it's not a true 5-1 because it's really 5. This is really 1 dominant setting up 4 dominant, which is the start of the tune. A 2-5 that resolves up a whole step, which is really an extension of diminished harmony happening right here. F minor going to F sharp diminished, that's not cyclic at all. Back to F minor again. These two keys aren't necessarily related, nor is F sharp diminished to C major. I mean, maybe it's a stretch of G minor with some borrowed harmony. There's not a whole bunch here that really fits into one of our modules, which is a really, it's one of these things that's just kind of striking me with this tune. It's a standard, it's 1938, it's showy, but it doesn't necessarily fit the norm of, I guess, what we would be expecting out of a quote-unquote standard tune. So this is a really interesting case study about writing a tune that has perhaps a little bit more harmonic edge than something like Fly Me to the Moon. Another thing with this tune with regards to the harmony, like I was mentioning with Fly Me to the Moon, check out the harmonic rhythm. We have 1 chord for this bar, 2 chords for this bar, then a chord that lasts for 2 measures. 1 bar, 2 per bar, 1, 1. Then obviously that all repeats again. Then 2 bars, 2 bars, 2 bars, 1, 1. This tune doesn't necessarily allow that factor of predictability, not like Fly Me to the Moon does. So again, not that one is really better or worse than the other, but these two are really interesting to study side by side from the first of all, the aspect of just, harmony, how one chord moves to the next and how it doesn't, in my opinion, necessarily fit the mold of one of our modules that we have, but in particular the harmonic rhythm, how that kind of maybe, nothing's pronounced about it, but something about the way these chords move and how frequently they move, it kind of keeps you on edge more so than a tune like Fly Me to the Moon, where everything's a little bit more expected. So I hope that these points, again, all just continue to add to what you guys have already put in on the tune. And if you guys have anything with this, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, keep swinging, keep going, upward and onward.